Hey guys, it's Crowbar Zero, and today we're gonna go over going to pump up your tower. And today we have Daviro28's tower. He sent me a bunch of his pictures. We're gonna go over through that. I've actually gotten quite a few of them, so it's gonna take me a while to get through all of these. So if you did send me a DM with all the pictures and everything that I mentioned in the previous video about what to send me, just hang tight. After you send them, like, don't message anything. I'm just trying to work my way up the list. So if you message me, you might put yourself farther back on that list. So please don't do that. I did not expect things would get crazy like they did. So just hang tight, and I'll get to you. Yeah, let's see here. So let's just start it with ultimate weapon here. So they have 4 ultimate weapons: Death Wave, Golden Tower, Black Hole, and Spotlight. Yeah, pretty much the econ ones. I would say definitely for the next one, well, it could be a nice ultimate weapon to go in with the rest of these for the 800 would be smart missiles, and that's specifically if you end up not using Multiverse Nexus, then and you can get everything synchronized up. Then when your black hole, GT, all of that goes off, the smart missiles can just clear everything out. Now, just looking at it really quick, so with the perk for black hole, you're looking at effectively about 29 seconds of duration uptime, so plus 12 to that, so it's 29. So GT uptime right now is 22 seconds, so actually a little bit of improvement to match the durations could be found right here. I haven't looked at the modules yet, but synchronizing the cooldowns between all 3 of these would be really helpful. So you can start with Death Wave, try to get that matched up if you're using like Multiverse Nexus, just for like an in-between, kind of just keep everything just slowly progressing. Let me look at their modules. Okay, it does look like they're using Multiverse Nexus, level 60, like, I think that's about the max level for that point. And looks like they didn't reinvest their points into the others. Luckily, if you do put points in to your modules, you can take them back out and put them into the next module that you equip. So don't feel shy about not putting your levels into your, unless it's like you just don't have the coins to do it. But generally, that shouldn't be a problem. And I'm kind of hesitant because I could be a little bit out of touch at the cost at this level. And just in general, like, everyone's going to know their tower as far as like how it plays. Maybe they're like, oh yeah, I already have a sync on this, or synchronization, like what MVN does. And maybe I just completely don't even realize that. And that actually happened. Somebody was asking for advice, and I was like, oh yeah, it'll be hard to synchronize Coinbot. And it's like, oh, well, it's already synchronized. And I'm like, wait, what? And I looked over everything and I did the math, and I was like, oh man, that just totally went past me over my head, and I didn't even realize that you had that. So awesome. You can do this, as far as the progress. Let's see, speaking about bots, let's see, do we have anything on bots? Yes, we have bots. Okay. So golden bot, 117 seconds. I'm not sure if that's synchronized or not. What is it? I think it's... I'm gonna have to do some math here. I don't think it is. I think that's way off. as far as synchronizing that all up. But let's find out. Let's do this. So map this all. Oops, that's not the button that was supposed to be pressed. So 280 plus 30 plus 10 plus 10. Let's divide by 3. Okay. Minus. It's like something's weird going on with my math here. Let's see here. Okay, divided by 3. 60. Oops. Wrong button. Actually, 7. Let's see if that's actually. Huh. I might be doing something wrong here, but they might actually have, or it might be close to being synchronized with their coin bot. Okay, I need to math this all over again. It's 4, 60. Oops. Plus 30. And then 3 minus. I think it's minus 10. I think it's like minus 10. If it's not minus 10, then as far as the multiverse nexus, because again, it's, well, you know, I might have a spare one. I might actually have a spare one in here. Let's see. Do I have a spare? Yes, I do. Okay. Oh, it's plus 20 seconds. Okay. All right. So we're gonna add another 10 seconds to that. And yeah. So divided by 3. Oh wait. 60. That gives. And they have their coin bot was at, what was it again? 117. That's really close, actually. Let's see if it was. And some of this might be like rounding issues. So if it was like 118. Yeah, actually 118 would have been closer to a better synchronization based on everything that I'm seeing so far. So as far as like this is close actually getting this synchronized to that. So I think a little bit, maybe like a drop into, oh, what's going to be the cheapest one? What is going to be the cheapest cooldown? that we can get, or we can get this to math out correctly. So let's go. I just need to save some of these numbers in the future, so I'm not long mathing it all out. Okay. So if it got it down by 1 cooldown, that would bring it down to 700 seconds. And I think at 700 seconds, you might as well get 1 cooldown right over here, or, maybe just right over on Deathwave. Let's start with Deathwave, okay? Let's knock that down by 1 notch. Even though it's a little bit more expensive, I'm thinking let's go with Deathwave, because that'll bring this closer to Golden Tower for later on, because eventually you'll probably want to synchronize those cooldowns together anyway. Yeah. And then being able to drop... Let's see, I think by labs? So let's see, where's the bots again? Yeah, so for the cooldown, I think it might be... I need to go over some of the math. I don't remember the reduction per lab off the top of my head, but if you can get this cooldown down to 100 seconds, and then and it might be like a respec. Maybe just kind of respec and then see what your labs do, and then whatever each one takes off. Get this down to 100 seconds. The Deathwave cooldown by at least 1. Oh wait, and that's gonna. There's gonna be a monkey wrench thrown into the whole thing. So let's see, that's 700 divided by 3. No, that's not gonna work out. This is difficult. This is really difficult sometimes when you get some of these wonky numbers going. Let's see, times 3. So maybe 1 in Black Hole and 1 in Deathwave. So let's knock that down by another 10 seconds. That'll be 390. That gives you divided by 3. Okay, so yes, I would say 1 into Black Hole, 1 into Deathwave. That's going to knock it down to 230 seconds plus the 20 seconds for Multiverse Nexus. That's going to be 250 seconds. So... it's not always going to line up, but every other... Okay, yeah. So, yeah, it looks like 1 out of Black Hole, 1 out of Deathwave. Average of that with just an epic version of Multiverse Nexus. With bringing... the cooldown here of Golden Bot to 100 seconds. Every other proc will have that synchronized with Golden Bot, and you'll be earning about double the coins with everything kind of mashed up together. This is where things get complicated when you're doing like custom builds and being like, okay, what can we do to get the max out of what we can with, whatever limited resources we have. And definitely with this one, it looks like one of our big limiting resources is probably the metals. they haven't been running events for too terribly long of a time, or at least not, something where they could just be like, hey, I've got golden bot maxed. So I think that will be a really good goal for now, trying to just get that down to the 100-second mark. Obviously, as you pull more modules, and this gets ranked up into legend, and then mythic, and ancestral. That's definitely going to change the equation as far as that goes. But at least you can hear some of my thought process into what's going on here. For the rest of the modules, just looking at really quick, for wormhole redirector, I don't see what substats. At least I don't see. I don't have any pictures of what substats are on it. But defense and health regen are really good on that, because obviously the regen is now going to apply as far as like regenerating your packages. So it's got a use here. Hold on to your dimension core. That's once you get chain lightning, that'll probably be your go-to for tournaments. But for now, I would say both Ohm Chip and Harmony Conductor could also be really good. So on the one hand, I'm also thinking like, okay, for Ohm Chip, that also might be something that you could transition to for a short period of time. As far as like, oh hey, here comes the boss. Ohm Chip is going to cause your spotlight to target the boss, and then you're going to get the coin bonus applied every single, or almost every single time to bosses. So that's another alternative to go with. But sometimes just working all your cooldowns with Multiverse Nexus, sometimes pretty viable. In the 700s, or the 100-second on the bot, I think seems to be a pretty nice, flexible spot to be. And once you get into that, I probably wouldn't touch the cooldown on Golden Bot too much. I would probably really work on the bonus, the range, especially the range. These two initially, with a little bit more favoritism towards range, so you're getting more enemies covered by it, and then duration as you're furthering along. But right now, I'm not too worried about duration, and the reason why I'm not worried about duration is you don't have a huge amount of duration in here. So, like, let's say you get smart missiles. Smart missiles go off, you can nuke everyone down, assuming that's synchronized to all your other ultimate weapons. So as far as the smart missiles go, you'd want, let's see, the kind of the 100-second kind of time frames. So that'd be like 1 minute, 40 seconds. What was it? 4 minutes, 20 seconds? But I don't think it even goes out that far. I think it starts at like 3 minutes. So that's something to look out for. Cards. I'm just gonna jump over to cards really fast. It looks like you've got a lot of these pretty well, like they're coming along, and you're not too terribly far away from actually, maxing some of these, or not maxing, but reaching the next level. So, I would definitely finish this out, try to get all the commons to at least the 5-star point. Depending on how things, if you feel like you need like a few more cards, I'd go for those. Just looking over at the bots, because gems, especially for early players, is really, really difficult, because you want modules, They give you an incredible amount of power, but at the same time, you know, you have to do your cards as well. So I can't see from here what the levels are once everything gets filtered into the cannon module, the armor module, the utility one, etc., etc. So, but sometimes when people get, you know, about to the point where they're maxed out, they can't put any more levels into it. At that point, that's when it's like, well, maybe you should roll on a few modules, and maybe you should get some better ones that way. Yeah. Workshop. It doesn't look like we're quite at minimum range. You're definitely going to want this at minimum range, and the reason, especially at the point that you're at, is black hole. Its range is not going to expand based on your tower range. So you want it pretty minimal so that black hole is going to encompass as much of your tower as you possibly can. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can go into the lab for range and reduce that down to 0. That's super helpful. Used to not be able to do that, but now you can, so give that a shot. Damage per meter is minimal. Critical factor. You know, it depends on what substats you have. If you don't have any bonus substats to like critical chance, I'm almost leaning towards maybe just having this as 0 and then have your critical factor as high as you want it to be. But yeah, this might not be too bad of a route. Just have a low critical factor or minimal leveled and then just level it up. Assuming you're trying to horde enemies, which is basically, you know, trying to keep the kills to minimal until all your econ stuff goes off. You know, pretty standard Devo setup. Luckily, you don't have to worry about dumping stuff into bounce range, but it is kind of expensive for where you're at, so I wouldn't worry about bumping this up too much. And it's not too expensive in a round to bump it up anyway. So that's fine where that's at. Let's see here. Next one. Let's see, what tier are they doing? I don't see what tier they're doing. Oh, it looks like they're running about 3,000 waves in tier 3. So, So this is a really hard choice, because tier 1 is not going to have any prots. So you could probably run something like an orb Devo setup in tier 1 and not worry about prots clogging up your black hole. You'll go a lot farther, but you're not going to have any of the tier bonuses going for you. Ooh, that's a tough call. As far as, I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, yeah, you guys can see it. Yeah, it's really tough because you want a decent amount of waves that you've run, just so you can get as many of the perk bonuses as you can, and then kind of ride out the rest of the run. But as you can see on my tower right now, I'm still going. I'm like, well, 5k in, and I'm probably about halfway through my run right now. So I would say maybe give tier 1 and tier 2 a shot. See how that works. As far as cards, it looks like you do have extra orbs. You know, if you are running Orb Devo, you know, that's fine. Just hoard as many enemies as you can, and then I would say maybe have like 1 or 2 orbs might be a good spot to be at. And run that with your extra orbs because you can modify the range on that. So yeah, like right here, you've got your orbs at 0. That's perfect. Orb speed, you've got that maxed out. Perfect. Looks like you've got your shockwave size already kind of at that orb Devo kind of setup, if I'm understanding where you're going with this. So that's great. That's fine. You don't have... Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine where that's at. I can see the cost. That's kind of where you're at, where you don't want to touch that. That's totally fine. Same with that. Same with Defy Death. Yeah. Knockback chance, knockback force. Yeah, that's fine where that's at. Thorns damage, that's fine, starting at 0%. Maybe you want to have it at 1%. And the reason why I would say maybe have it at 1% is that way enemies can't heat up on your tower as much. So basically, the more that they hit you, they're progressively going to do, I think it's like an extra like 4% damage. Don't quote me on that, but it's so a small percentage of damage, and each time it's like you're getting this stacking percentile of damage. So actually having like 1% thorns just so that they don't hit you too much and build up too much and get, just ludicrously strong and wipe you out, that might be a good play. And then I haven't checked the labs yet, but if you've got some black hole damage, having them buttered up a little bit is kind of nice when they go into black holes. So, it just kind of adds to, just sucking them dry. Let's see. Okay, so the absolute defense, that's fine. Maybe a little bit more, because you are hoarding a lot of enemies on you. You're still, on the lower tiers. So this is still something that's probably decent to invest a little bit more in. And I did that for quite a while. Especially when you're hoarding a ton of enemies, absolute defense is still pretty nice. And yes, it loses a lot of value once you go up the tiers, but it's still useful in this case scenario. Free ups, you've got that minimized. That's perfect. Recovery amount, that's within your affordable range from what I can tell. Package chance, max recovery. Yeah, that's kind of your affordable zone. The attack and health level skips is super good. So, I mean, that's really expensive for where you're at. But they are good, and it does help. But right now, it might be a little bit too pricey. I mean, I see what your total is, but it's... Take them nice and slow. With everything else. Probably get everything else up a little bit more until you start dipping into this. Because the ELS stats are really expensive. Even for me. Oh, looks like I'm cycling through those again. Alright, let's see here. We got the cards. Fortress, I think would actually be pretty good in this use case scenario because you're just building up enemies on your wall. And so absolute defense has a really big role to play in that. I already have it at a pretty decent spot, so I would definitely use that. If you can. And if you can't slot it in right now, maybe that would be a good one to actually slot in. Extra defenses, goes along with that. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Let's see here. And some more of your cards down the line. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, and since you are also using a wormhole redirector, this would only really apply to towards the end of the run to lengthen it out, but health regen might be helpful. And I say might be because absolute defense is going to help you out more than anything else. But it might help. It might help you kind of keep up. But yeah. Just looking through everything else. Super Tower would be detrimental at this point in the game for you. Crit coin is fine. Yeah. We got the end of the stuff here. Berserker, that's a really solid one. As long as you have a low attack per second, I don't see actually using Berserker as too detrimental. So, go ahead. Maybe some people would argue, nah, you really don't want it, but... so sometimes you have to have a little bit of quality of life in there, too. So as long as your attacks per second are low, I'm not too worried about Berserker. And if it is a problem, then you can just take the card off. Yeah, so that's kind of the big spot where you're at right now. I would say aim for a little bit of 1 second in cooldown in both Black Hole and Deathwave. And then getting coin bot down to 100 seconds if you can. Actually, let's see. As far as like respecking, okay, you can't take anything out of duration. That kind of sucks. Can't really take a whole lot out of range either. So do what you can. Just work at your pace, as whatever you can to get this down. For more longer term goals, obviously I mentioned smart missiles eventually synchronized with everything will be super powerful. Not too worried about Deathwave damage. So maybe a little bit of duration here. You could get a little bit more spotlight angle and bonus. Those can be nice. Especially if you're like towards the end of the run and you're like just barely surviving with lifesteal. That could contribute to lifesteal as well. Especially if you have it targeted, so your priority target is enemies within Spotlight. That way you're trying to make sure that you're always getting as much damage per hit as you possibly can. That might be kind of nice. Yeah, I think that's all I have for you. And I think, let's see. For my favorite sections. Yeah, I can't see any of his labs as far as what's shown here. So as far as labs, making sure that permanent on lab speed, make sure that is in there at all times. If you don't have game speed maxed out, that's super priority. But other than that, making sure you've got the black hole coins. As far as like one of your labs goes, maybe a little bit of duration and bonus for Golden Tower 2. And then let's see some of the Deathwave stuff and Spotlight coin bonus and slow bonus. Other than that, maybe you could eventually start on Spotlight missiles. That's super helpful for tournaments, especially once you have smart missiles, because then you just have this, once you get it maxed out, it's just constantly going out and pelting enemies. And if you do the labs for smart missiles, it applies to Spotlight missile, and it's just absolutely insane. So I would say that is kind of your short-term and not too far off term goals to get through. And I was hit up the next person on my list. I'm just gonna split out these videos so it's like one video per person. Got a lot to go through today, so hopefully my my Wi-Fi can keep up with uploading all of this. Hoping to get a little networking card so I can just directly plug in, and I've got the fiber speeds for upload and download, and just run through all of these in the future, and maybe in like one session versus just waiting around for stuff to upload. Anyway, we'll catch you guys later, and I hope you guys enjoyed.